Okay, this is the new Phantom Leader Deluxe game. I thought I would run through a sample turn, and in case anybody's interested in buying the game, it's a great game. And I've already played 2 days of the War in the South, 1965, with the U.S. Air Force planes, and have 4 victory points so far, and stress is coming along pretty good. Day 3. We start with the pre-flight sequence of play. First of all, draw target cards, and as we can see on the recon track, we can draw two target cards. So let's draw, see what we can get here. Okay, we have Viet Cong buildup as one choice with target. And we have munition barges. Targets are 2 victory points. The munition barges seems like it may be a little easier target. And have to keep in mind that with this campaign that we fly 2 fewer pilots for each mission. So if we pick munition charges, we only have 1 pilot on the mission. We pick the Viet Cong build-up mission. We can use 2 pilots instead of 4, which is right there. It tells you how many pilots you can use. But I really like the bonus you get with this Viet Cong build-up target. It says soft target, but there's a celebration. If you destroy this target, perform a free priority R&R, which will subtract 2 stress from each pilot in your squadron, which usually costs 9 special option points. So I think I'm going to go with this Viet Cong build-up as our target for this mission. Chosen, we go to sequence of play. Number 2 is select target, which we've done, and move the politics counter. We can see on this particular target, the politics value is a 1. So we go to the politics counter, move it 1 to the right. Next section on the sequence of play is to determine and place sites. According to the target card, we put 2 sites in each approach area and 2 sites in the center area. So we'll go ahead and draw those. I usually just work my way around the board like this. First site here, some infantry. We've got some more infantry. Okay, we've got a machine gun, heavy machine gun. Got an S-60. Another S-60. This is probably the worst draw so far. Got an M1939. That's not good. Another S-60 here in the south approach. And Zu-23-2. And then we draw 2 more sites for the center area. Here's another Zu-23-2. And finally, another heavy machine gun. Okay, so those are the site draws. Now, with this new version, we draw attack angle counters for sites that are placed in approach areas that have a range of 1 or 2. So this would be one of those type sites. We'll randomly draw, and there's the attack angle for that particular site. We've got another one with a range of 1 here. Attack angle for that site. Got another one here. And you point the arrows away from the center area. And got one more down here. Okay, just to explain real quick how these work. This site here would only be able to attack or be attacked from this approach, from the east approach area, or from the eastern pre-approach area, according to this counter, and that's how it works with all the others. The areas would not be attainable. Of course, that goes by as long as the range can reach these areas. So that's our setup here. Determine and place sites, and next we'll assign pilots and arm the aircraft. Okay, forgot to mention the target. It's target number 13, Vietcong. We have built up right here in this section of the map, right next to Way. So put the target marker there. There's no waypoint penalty here. In other words, each aircraft can carry an amount of waypoints here in the bottom left corner. And if there was a waypoint penalty, according to how far you travel from base, it would subtract how many waypoints you could carry. So in this particular mission, we have no waypoint penalty with a stress 1, which we'll talk about that later on at the end of the mission. I've chosen my pilots. I've chosen Irish and Papa. Irish is flying a F-105 Thunder Chief. Papa flying an F-4 Phantom. Also brought along Bat, who is flying reconnaissance in a EB-66 destroyer. Coming along, you can freely add him to the mission without counting against the number of pilots you can fly on the mission. Got some added bonuses where we can cancel some events that may be bad on dice rolls, and also will help if we're being attacked in an area. Subtract 1 from the dice roll of an attack. I've armed both with the same munitions. I'll explain a little bit later why we did this as we're going into the mission, but I've armed both with some napalm, be your main munitions here. And when we use napalm, when we first drop a napalm munition, we'll move this politics marker 1 to the right, and but only for the first one. The rest for that mission doesn't affect that politics track. And I've also loaded on each craft an M117R. Got the soft bonus on it of +3, and some rockets as we have to drop low over the target to drop these munitions. May face some resistance, and just to suppress the enemy, we both got a couple of rockets. And just in case, if we don't reach it's quite a high hit count we have to get here with the target. We have to get 12 hits on the target. Just in case we don't get them with those 4 munitions, we got a couple extra we can drop as well. So just to be sure, we'll drop them as well. So those are the pilots in the aircraft, and next we'll go to draw target bound event card. Draw here. We look at the top section when we're target bound. Television war. It says distracted leadership. Move the politics counter 1 to the left, which would be a good thing. So rather than use Bat's power where we could cancel this event, ignore this event on a roll of 6 or more, we're going to go ahead and apply this event card and move the politics counter 1 to the left. You can always go back to the beginning as you're moving this counter, but as you move to the right, you cannot move the counter to where it covers up the last number. The farthest it can move on each track is where the last number is showing, the last mark is showing. So move this politics counter from here to here for this event card. The next section on the target-bound flight phase of the sequence of play is to place the aircraft in flight paths. Okay, we've placed our aircraft in flight paths for this particular mission. I've chosen to enter from the northwestern pre-approach area, with each pilot flying high at high altitude. And the reason I've chosen this area and this altitude is because all of these sites can only fire their munitions when I'm flying at a low altitude. If any of my pilots are flying at a low altitude, the only one that is not is this M1939, which can fire at my aircraft whether I'm flying high or low. But again, this attack angle marker restricts this site and where I can fire, and such that will not be able to. I can actually avoid this particular site by staying high and staying away from the two hot zones here, according to the attack angle marker. So after looking at the other markers and taking into account the other sites and such, I'm going to enter here. Probably come to this side in the western approach area, go over the target, drop my munitions, and then head. The exit area is over here, but you can actually exit from that pre-approach area or the adjacent pre-approach areas. And the plan I have is to come in high. Once I'm over the target, drop low. And that could be a problem because there's a couple of sites that can hit me while I'm low, and that's why I brought some rockets for suppression. And then once I drop my munitions, go back up to high altitude where I can avoid some of these sites and head back out, probably in this southeastern or southernmost pre-approach areas, and hopefully that will work. The next step would be to determine and place bandits. In this particular campaign, there is no drawing and placing of bandits. So actually, even though you might think this is an easier mission because you don't have to deal with bandits and have to arm your aircraft with A7s and A9s. Actually, it is kind of evened out in the complexity and toughness of this campaign because you have less aircraft, and also there are no ECM pods available in this particular campaign where you can try to avoid some of these attacks against your planes as they're coming in and leaving the site, the target. So there are no bandits in this particular campaign, so we'll just skip over that. Intel Air Defense Destruction, that's the next part of the target-bound flight phase sequence of play. You go down to the Intel track here, look to the right of the marker, no change. If this marker was here, we would be able to remove one center site, but not so here in this situation. So next we're going to draw an over-target event card. And that's the middle section of the card, and it says discard and redraw all site attack angle counters for a random approach area that has attack angle counters. Okay, that could cause a problem, but hopefully not. We see in the approach areas, there's three areas that have the attack angle markers. The northern approach, the eastern approach, and the southern approach have these markers. There are none on the western approach. So we're going to randomly determine which one of these approach areas will get redrawn. Just roll here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And we got 5. So that would be this western approach area. These get placed back in the mix, and we'll redraw. redraw. See, this could actually end up messing up our plans, our flight plans onto the target. We'll see. So we got new. Okay, that's actually still fine. And then this one here, still looking good there. I think we'll be okay. No big difference there. So, okay, so the next section is to place a turn counter on 1, which we have done. And we are ready to head into the over target phase of sequence of play. Okay, the over target phase of sequence of play. We're going to be doing this 5 times or less, depending how long it takes us to either be destroyed or destroy the target and get off the grid here. So first thing to do is a jettison decision, and that would be to dump any munitions that are air-to-ground munitions that could cause a hindrance to any air-to-air combat we have if we're loaded with air-to-air missiles or munitions. And as I stated earlier, in this campaign, there are no bandits, so don't have to worry about that this mission. So we'll go to the next phase, or the next part of the phase, a fast pilots attack. Go down here into this section here. We have one fast pilot, which is Papa. Has no stress. Neither pilot has stress right now. Bat has 1 stress carried over from a previous mission, but he's the only fast pilot. But Papa's flying high, so the only munitions Papa has can be dropped or fired from the low altitude, so Papa can do nothing. So we'll skip over that part of the phase, and next is sights and bandits attack. And when they do, when one does, one may suppress, and the pilot under attack may evade if suppression fails. So I usually just work my way around the board. All my pilots again are flying high altitude, so all of these sights that fire low cannot attack my aircraft. The only one would be able to would be this M1939, but again, he is restricted as well, not only by the 1 range, which means he could only fire into these adjacent areas here, there, in the center, or here, and he's also restricted by this flight attack angle counter. So actually, none of these sights can attack any of my aircraft at this time, this turn. Turn 1 of this phase. So we go to number 15, slow pilots attack. Irish is a slow pilot. He would be able to attack here, but again, he's in the same situation as Papa. He's flying high. All his munitions can only be dropped from a low altitude, so Irish can do nothing. The next would be aircraft move and adjust altitude, and this is where I will move, make some room here for my pilots coming in. We're going to stay at the same altitude, at high altitude, and again, try to avoid these sights that are low. You can only fire when I'm low. Again, when you're moving, you can move to any adjacent area from where you came. So I can also adjust the altitude if I want, but I'm going to keep them high, as I said. Next would be bandits move. Again, this campaign, no bandits, so none of the bandits can move. Lastly, advance the turn counter, and we are on turn 2. Turn 2. Turn 2 over the target. It's pretty much going to roll as the first one did. Jettison decision. Again, no air-to-air bandits to deal with. Fast pilots attack. Both Irish and Papa are still at high altitude, and their munitions restrict them from dropping anything or firing anything this turn. So Papa will skip his turn. Sights and bandits, again, same situation as turn 1. Over the target, all sights fire low. Can only fire when I'm at low altitude, except for this one here. But again, this sight still cannot reach my aircraft. So slow pilots, again, Irish slow, but can drop nothing due to his munitions requirement of a low altitude. So we'll go right to the aircraft moving and adjusting altitude. Now we're going to be coming in on the target here, and so we're going to be dropping to low altitude, and because the munitions that I have will require me to be flying at low altitude for me to drop them. So into the center target area, low altitude. Okay, again, bandits moved, no bandits here in this campaign. So we'll advance the turn counter, turn 3, coming up. Okay, we're on turn 3, over to target. We skip the jettison, fast pilot's attack. As I said, Papa is fast pilot, and he's finally flying low. He's over the target, so we can drop his munitions on the target. Now, I like to place them right on the target just to get the feel of the dropping. I'm going to drop all these munitions except for the rockets. We're going to hold on to them just in case as we're leaving the target area. They were fired upon by a couple of these low, or these sights that can reach us as we're low over the target, just in case. Now Papa, again being a fast pilot with no stress at all, an air-to-ground attack, he gets +2 modifier on the dice roll for each munitions that's dropped. And also some of these munitions, or actually all of them, have an extra modifier for it being a soft target. The napalm gets a +2 added to the +2 that Papa has for air to ground. So let's roll that napalm first. So it'd be +2. His +2 is +4 to whatever I roll, and I will determine how many hits we get from this napalm. Here we go. We have an 8. That's wonderful. So we got 8 plus a 4 modifier. That would be 12. And as we can see by the modifier, 12, 3 to 6 would give us 1 hit. 7 to 9 would give us 2 hits. 10 or more gives 3 hits. So that napalm lands 3 hits on the target. That's really, really good. Now we're going to drop this 117R next. We get a +3 modifier for soft target, and the +2 for Papa's air to ground modifier. So we're going to be adding 5 to this roll. Okay, we have a 4, so that's a 9. Okay, so that would actually be 2 more hits. Okay, plus the 3 from the napalm, that's 5 hits. 5 hits. And lastly, this MK82 Snake Eye, who has a +2 modifier as well. So with Papa's +2, we're going to add 4 to this roll. And that's not good. That's just a 1, so that's a 5, which is less than the 8. So actually nothing, no hits with that munition. So okay, so Papa struck the target. With 5 hits. I can't find the 5, so I'll just do a 4 to 1. That's the fast pilot's attack now. Okay. And Irish is slow pilot, so he can't drop yet his munitions yet. Again, sights and bandits attack. Now we might face some fire because of we are low altitude, but we'll go around the board and see what kind of resistance we get. This infantry cannot reach us. It can only fire in its own area. Same for this machine gun. There's no range, so it can only fire in its own area. This S60 can actually fire one adjacent area, but this attack angle marker, the center is blackened out, which means it cannot reach any of my aircraft in the center. Again, same for this site, same for this site, same for this site. Again, the ZU-23-2 can only fire in its own area. So it looks like the only resistance we're going to face is from this ZU-23-2 and the heavy machine guns that are in the target area, the center area. So we'll start with the ZU-23-2. Can fire at any of these since they're all flying low altitude, as is required by this site. Divided up 1 to 3, 4 to 6, 7 to 9. Okay, he's going to be firing at Papa. Now I can either evade with Papa, which would add 2 stress to his card, or I can try to suppress. And we're going to let Papa suppress against this target. Again, have to be flying low to suppress with these rockets. The yellow S means suppression. You add +3 modifier. So we'll be adding +3 to the dice roll as well as Papa's +2 for air to ground modifier. So we're rolling adding 5 to this dice roll, and we need to get 7 to suppress. And we just got it. We got the 7. So Papa suppresses, keeps that ZU-23-2 from firing at him, and that's good news. So we go to this other site over here, heavy machine gun. Again, can fire at any of my aircraft. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll roll again. 2. I'd be at Papa again. Irish has a rocket as well. Again, when you're suppressing, you don't go by fast or slow pilots. Who's ever available can suppress. One pilot can suppress. He's got a rocket with the +3 as well modifier, and he's also got a +2 modifier. So we'll be adding to this 5 as well to this roll, and we got a 7 roll, so that's plenty enough to suppress this heavy machine gun. So thanks to the rockets I brought along, won't face any fire from these sites. Also could have, just a note, on the bottom of the aircraft cards, some of the aircraft have guns, some not till a later date, depends on the campaign you're playing. This is 1965, so Papa's gun is not on this particular Phantom until 1967, but we could have put a gun pod on the plane, but chose not to do that. But some are equipped with guns, such as Irish. You could also use a gun for if there were any air-to-air combat in his own zone, in his own area. He could fire along with modifiers, or as long as you're flying low, he's been flying low, you could have used a gun, or he can use a gun to fire on the target or on a site that's in the same area, along with including any modifiers. So, but we're not going to use the guns. We go to the next section of the phase is for, as we're done with the sites attacking, slow pilots attack, and that is Irish. And Irish is going to be dropping all of his munitions on the target as well. Again, Irish has the same modifier as Papa did, +2 air to ground. No stress here, so +2 modifier. And we'll just let's start with the snake eye this time. We got the +2 modifier from Irish, air to ground, and then we got the +2 modifier here. So let's roll. We're gonna add 4. That would be a 6, so no hit. It's less than 8, so no hit with the snake eye. This is not looking too good. Next we'll drop the M117R. It's got the +3 modifier for a soft target and the +2 for Irish's modifier, so we're going to adding 5. That's a 7. That's one more hit, so that makes it 6 hits on the target. This isn't looking good. And lastly, this napalm, got the +2 modifier and +2 for Irish's modifier. Add 4. Again, it's another 7, and that's 2 more hits. So we've gotten up to 8 hits here on the target, which is not enough. I could choose to stay another turn, although we're looking at, I'm at 8 hits right now. I'd have to get 4 more hits on the next turn, which is impossible. The most I could get would be 1 with Irish's guns. So as we finish out this part of the phase, we're just going to start heading off the board and pick up at least 1 victory point. So we're going to adjust altitude and move the planes, the aircraft. We're going to go back up to high altitude. All 3 pilots jump back up to high altitude. That way, again, all these sites that can only fire at low altitude can't reach me. And even this one, this site here that can fire high, again, cannot reach me because I'm in an area where they cannot reach with that site. So aircraft move and adjust altitude. Bandits move. There are none this campaign. Advance the turn counter. Turn 4. Coming up. Okay, a couple of things before we start turn 4. Forgot to move the politics counter up 1 when I dropped napalm. That first napalm munition, I should have moved it up 1 to the right. Also, forgot to mention that if any of the suppression rolls that I made would have failed against these 2 sites in the center area, they were successful, fortunately, but if they'd have failed, the particular pilot that was being attacked could have tried to evade, and that would be done by placing 2 stress on that particular pilot and then rolling 2 times and choosing the best result of those. In other words, this particular site, anything less than 7 would have been a no hit, as Papa would have been able to craftily evade that firing from that site. Fortunately, we didn't have to do that. Didn't have to add any stress. That's unnecessary. We had the munitions to suppress. So anyway, forgot to mention that. So let's go to turn 4 of the target. Fast pilot's attack. We're at the point now where we really don't need to do anything else except get off the board. Actually, Papa has no munitions left and doesn't have a gun, so really all he could do is really can't fire anything. So we're going to skip over him. Sights and bandits. Again, all these sights that can only fire low, except for this one, and even where I am now, flying high, he could normally fire at me in this instance, but cannot because he's restricted and not able to fire in this area from this attack angle counter. Even this area here, flying high above these sites that can only fire low. So really nothing that can be done in this turn except for me to go right to the last part of the phase and or near the end of the phase. Aircraft move and adjust altitude. Again, remember I have to exit either here in this flight path number 1, exit counter, or either adjacent area. I'm going to stay high and just move in the pre-approach area And once you reach that area, you can exit the display, and the mission is over, other than some debriefing that will now take place as we go to the homebound flight phase of the mission. We're going to draw a homebound event card and look at the bottom. And it says FAC support, remove 1 stress from every pilot in the squadron, which is really good. Papa and Irish didn't accumulate any stress here on this part, up to this part in the mission. Bat has 1 he carried over, so we're going to take that off. Also over here on my sheet, you see that Boomer, who has 6 stress at this point, we'll take 1 off of him. We'll take 1 off the Judge, make him a 2. We'll, again, Bat's at a 0 now. Also forgot to mention that we spent 4 special option points. It's 2 for each napalm munitions that we bought. Of the special weapon here, as you can see, the napalm here, special weapon, that's, you have to pay 1 special option point per weight point. So take that 4 off of our special option point. So we drew the homebound event card. The next part of the homebound flight would be to roll for search and rescue. We had no pilots that were shot down, so we won't be needing to do that. Now we head to the debriefing, record the mission outcome. We've got 8 hits on the target. We needed 12 to destroy the target, but we did damage the target. You got undamaged in this zone, this range here, damaged in this range, and destroyed in this range here with 12 or more. So we did damage the target, and we get 1 victory point for that. So we're going to go over here on our sheet, mark damaged. We get 1 victory point for that. Next says also to adjust the recon and intel counters. According to our 8 hits, we'll be able to move the intel counter 1 to the right. So we'll do that. Always want to keep them moving. The intel counter and the recon counters, or the politics counter, you want to keep it as far to the left as you can, so you're not limiting the targets you can attack each mission or each campaign. Special option points. Again, we only used 4, so we're down to 27, which will carry over to the next mission, day 4. Add target card stress. Go back to the campaign map here. We see target 13, as we talked about at the beginning of the video. There's 1 stress applied to each pilot that flew this mission, and they would get that. So it would be 1 for Bat, 1 for Irish, and 1 for Papa. Just to show you how this goes, pilot stress recovery, all pilots, and be including the ones that did not fly this mission. Your cool number over here is how many you'd subtract after this mission. Take away stress, nothing for Bat, 1 for Irish, so that marker actually comes off, and 1 for Papa, so that marker would actually come off. And now we're going to record the new stress. So again, we have Bat with 1, Irish with 0, and Papa with 0. And pilots that did not fly a mission recuperate stress 2 plus their cool number. So we see Boomer here would get 2 plus his cool, which is 4, which would take him down to a 2. I forgot to mark the target number up here on day 3. Judge would go back to 0 stress, and all the rest are still 0 stress. Looks like we're set up for day 4 as far as stress goes. Looking pretty good stress wise. Okay, Pilot stress recovery. Politics counter gets moved 1 to the left now. And record pilot's experience and stress. We already recorded the stress. The 3 pilots that flew the mission weren't destroyed. Each get 1 experience point. They would get another as well if we had destroyed the target, but we only damaged it. So Bat, Irish, and Papa all get 1 experience point only. Okay. And that's it. Not total success, but not total failure. Here on day 3, at least we got 1 point, a victory point. Hopefully that helped you understand a little bit. But what a great game. Thanks, Dan, for everything you do. Great games.